welcome to the LCS waiting room. We are back. Unfortunately, Raz is still out ill today, so...
Unfortunately?
Yeah.
We're free!
He's probably in Twitch chat right now. What do you...
Your shoes look like the shoes that I tried on today.
Probably were.
Oh,
well.
Do you guys
We're
have
the
the
same
same
person.
size feet?
What size are your feet?
11 and a half.
Same.
Between 11 and 12. It's perfect.
All right,
Wow.
we're going to be shoe buddies.
We're the same person.
From that, our friends over at the Salt League, the NACL, sent us a little playoff preview because their playoffs start this Saturday. So let's take a look at that right off the bat.
Previously on NACL, the regular season has ended, and Cloud9 challengers narrowly took first from Dignitas. 16 teams enter the double elimination bracket. Who will be victorious?
Thank you to our friends over at the Salt League. Also,
That looks so
amazing.
weird.
It looked like
This is so
believably one
cursed.
person. The problem is the we should have hiked up the pants.
We need to
pins.
find a way
Yeah.
to get
Different,
this one and this
The
one
thing
side
is,
by
they
side.
keep
So I
giving
have to
Jet
like,
really
Like
fun
that?
stuff.
yeah, kind of like
Yeah,
that.
oh
And
my
then it's
God.
just two pairs
If
of
you-
feet.
It looks kind of normal,
Oh, it does
man.
kind of look normal if you don't look at the legs.
Oh,
Anyway,
God.
thanks to our friends over at the Salt League. Also, fun fact, Deserix, you may have heard on cast yesterday, actually composed and played the music in that, which is very cool.
It was pretty
Yeah,
good.
exactly. Yeah. Very musical talent. A lot of
Yeah.
musical talent from
I feel threatened. I don't like it.
play-by-play.
Rafa
You-
and
It's a
you
in and
not
out.
play
play-by-play
instrument?
thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Analysts are good. We don't need
Analysts
music.
don't have musical talent. Yeah.
Wait, I play piano. Anyway.
Now to play by play.
Not anymore. Standings, Cloud9 tied with FlyQuest up at first, which is going to be super interesting. EG dropping down into a solid third place. Golden Guardians in fourth at 8 and 6. CLG and TSM tied in the middle at 7 and 7. They cannot escape each other. 100 Thieves and Team Liquid Honda tied at 6 and 8. And then Immortals Progressive at 3 and 11. They are technically, mathematically still in the playoff hunt. However, Dignitas at 2 and 12. They did pick up their second win yesterday. Unfortunately, they are already out of the playoff picture. And this is a tweet from Joshua Gutman. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. For the LCS official playoff race, if every game is a coin flip, Riot is considering strength of schedule.
Yeah, so this was actually sent to me this morning by Tim Sevenhusen from Oracle's Elixir and 100 Thieves. He said this guy posted this in his Discord. So it's not only this, but then he also did a playoff race that takes into account strength of schedule, and that's the one that we're seeing now. Yeah, so I want to just look at it because I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so
what ties
you're up
in.
there.
Yeah, I'm up here. We got pen, right?
You got
Emily, how do you get the pen to work?
we're on the emoji screen. Wait, you have a purple. Stop it.
All right, I'm keeping those there.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so here is the line for playoffs technically. So that would be like where 6 teams fall, and there's a average finish of 6th. So really, really close between TSM and 100 based on his strength of schedule, and even CLG, 5.8, 6.2, and 6.4. What was interesting to me is how the average finish for TL is 7.1, and that's also considering they already upset FlyQuest yesterday.
It was dire before that.
So much more dire, yeah. 52% chance that TL finishes 8th.
Wow.
Given strength of schedule, it makes sense. They have a very hard road ahead of them compared to TSM or CLG or something.
Yeah, Golden Guardians still look pretty strong with almost a 60% chance that they finish top 4. Because that's another cutoff point that's actually really important, is to be top 4. But it's crazy that actually like TSM, COG, 100 Thieves, they all still have that like actual possible chance of moving into the top 4 depending on how crazy
Hey
things
man,
go.
don't
So
count out that
there's a
third
lot of
place
league to
finish
play.
for Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Point 2.
We have so many weird things to
Mom
play with
spaghetti.
today. Like I
Vomit
don't know.
on his sweater
There's just a
already.
lot of stuff that we can
Stop
do
it.
later.
We're gonna use
There
those
we
later.
go.
You're
Yeah.
spoiling it.
Okay. Fine. I'm done.
No, we are going to use those right now, actually, because we're going to be taking a look at. Yesterday, we talked a lot about how teams could make playoffs, what we thought their playoff potential is. What we need you guys to do is vote in Twitch chat as teams come up, how likely you think
Get out of here, positivity.
it will be, whether we're starting with Golden Guardians, but we'll do this for every team. So will Golden Guardians make playoffs? And spam in chat to vote yes or no, and we're going to compile all of the answers at the end.
It felt like a sure thing, but this game didn't look very convincing yesterday against 100 Thieves.
I feel like everything to make the playoff picture more confusing happened yesterday with Team Liquid and 100 Thieves picking up, you could call surprise wins, Golden Guardians dropping, CLG dropping, and TSM winning makes it so that it feels almost like a 5-way race for those last 3 playoff spots.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we want to figure out here. Yes or no if people think they're going to do it. Golden Guardians is currently, of that grouping, the best position. They are still 1 game ahead of the people in 5th, 6th, and they are also 2 games ahead of the 7th, 8th.
I do wonder if we cursed them, because yesterday we ran a graphic of, it's like, they're going to have their best season ever. They've never won more than 9 games, and surely they'll win more than 9 games this year.
Well, yeah, because there's the pessimistic view where they still don't win more than 9 games. Let's say they, like, beat Dig. Oh, my God.
You gotta pick smartly.
All right, yeah. So like, let's say they beat Dig, that's a thumbs up. But then everything else is kind of embarrassing, where they drop games to these 3 other teams. They could still go 9-9, possibly, right? Like there's a world where that is what happens. So that's would put them at 9-9 at that case. They might still make playoffs like that, but it would ruin their chance of beating finally a 500 record for a regular season. Even this 9-9 would probably give them a tiebreaker. So I feel like, I don't know what Twitch chat's saying right now, but it has to be good, because this is like a doomsday scenario.
Yeah, what do you think will happen?
What I actually think will happen, they're probably going to eat pretty good against here. I think they'll win one of these 2, so you can kind of just like split the difference where one of them goes well, one doesn't, and then obviously this game is cursed. So like that would put them at 10-8, right?
Which is in.
Which is in.
Yeah.
So like I think even this is a pretty fair, like, they could easily win all 3 games. They could go 3-1 here, and I wouldn't be shocked either. But this is a pretty conservative one, which still, I don't know, puts them in playoffs.
Yeah.
I wonder if we know what Twitch chat is saying for the spam right now.
I'm curious what the percentage is.
Let's see it.
There we go. 78%.
So we'll have to benchmark that against the rest
We have a
of the team.
producer keeping track of all these as we go through the teams, and at the end we'll kind of see who has the most.
All right.
CLG's up next, I believe.
That's me.
I got a quick board.
I feel like I picked CLG for everything. They're just stuck with me. Every time I vote them to win, they don't, just like yesterday. So obviously, yesterday was a really, really tough loss. You're going to see a lot of Aurelion Sol in these. It really looked like CLG had the game in hand, especially with Aurelion Sol scaling. One thing that has been really interesting about this team just generally is how willing Palafox has been able to pick up that champion, and they even did almost win with it after being set behind in the first game they played it. So this was just like coming out of this game. It
was a doozy. It's crazy that they're 1-2 with Azael because it just looks so broken and overpowered.
Halfox is a great Azael.
33% win rate.
So now things become really dicey for them, right? Because this could end up being an insanely tough schedule where like everything is on fire, right?
That's
because like EG, they didn't look too hot yesterday either, but that was against C9. Golden Guardians, we've already talked about on being kind of a slide, but TL had a good game yesterday. C9 is going to be, I think, of these four, their most formidable opponent. So we're going to say, oh, that was...
They're strong.
I wanted the
They are strong.
Yeah, there we go.
The flaming bicep.
Flaming biceps.
Set the arm
I like how the biceps is the default.
You're a fire punch fan, I guess?
But like, and I'm not going to say that they will, but like this is...
So we should point out, EG has no JoJo today.
True.
They're playing with Ryoma, and they're all playing from home, too.
Because of illness, I believe. So, but yeah, it's like, I think I say...
Everything's dicey.
That's the thing. Like, they could go... You could see a world where they go 2-2. You could see a world where they go 1-3. The worst case scenario is, you know, losing all four. So what do you guys think? Because I'm like... Whenever I predict CLG to win, they lose. Whenever I predict them to lose, they win.
I'm pretty similar, actually.
So I'll say that they'll go 1-3, so that way they go 3-1. But they'll go 1-3.
Okay, 1-3 puts them at 8-10, which gives them what for playoff likelihood?
I think that puts them outside,
probably a tiebreaker,
or maybe a tiebreaker.
It'd be a tiebreaker.
I think it's probably a tiebreaker. What does the Twitch chat think on this
do we have a Twitch chat?
Because GG was at 78.
Oh, people are not looking good about that.
What is
this? Is a vomiting Aurelian soul.
I thought it was a crab claw, like shooting bubble beam or something, like Pokemon, you know?
I don't know. There's like a... He's a dragon, so he has like...
Yeah. Oh, that was pretty good. Now you got it. Yeah.
Those are the stars. Okay. Anyway.
Nice. Okay. Who's next?
Because Aurelian soul is not guaranteed a victory, right? So it's perfect.
Okay, Twitch chat. Will TSM make playoffs? Yes or no?
You can begin spamming while we look at their most recent banger of a game. I thought that they were doomed for sure, but this is one of the times where I think people were very optimistic about the fact that Turtle has subbed in for Neo and had kind of the game-winning play, multiple game-winning plays. His headshot usage and just general Caitlyn gameplay saved this game. Also, when we caught up with the TSM guys yesterday, they were so chill. Like, they were just like, we knew we were going to win the game. Like, the only negative quote-unquote thing I heard is Solo was like, yeah, you know, the first time I got killed, I was like, maybe Ornn would have been really good here. The Belveth.
Yeah, but other than that, it actually seems to be very good vibes coming out of TSM camp right now.
Yeah, they have amazing vibes. Every game is fun. But I will say, this is probably the most entertaining of the Final Four games because they're at 7-7, and then like...
They're playing two competitors for playoffs today, and then on
like
Wednesday.
What's happening in all of these two games? Dignitas did just beat CLG, but you're hoping that that's it really doesn't look great. But
it's falling from so high up.
Wow, you just really get a lot of confetti all over.
Oh, it falls from the top of the screen no matter where you put it.
Apparently.
Okay, that's cool.
So this one, this is the weird thing because they are 1-0 against FlyQuest. But you don't expect them to be able to repeat that win. So that's probably a loss. Today is, like, I'm really not sure. They're coming off a win, but Golden Guardians is coming off a loss. That's going to be the turning point for me. And 100 Thieves is like, I have no idea. It's just like another thinking face. I have no idea what they're going to look like. But they probably have a win against Dig. So it's like, you would expect them to at least split against Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, which would put them at 9-9, which is like...
Pretty playoff bound.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I like how you don't write their record, you just give them a confetti.
That didn't...
Wait, now that's...
I was backwards, yeah.
Oh, well, also the higher you put it up, the smaller it is.
Okay.
Interesting confetti mechanics.
There we go.
All right, Twitch chat. Are you guys on the same page with TSM? Ooh, pretty split.
Close.
Yeah.
I feel like it's because there's a lot of TSM fans and a lot of TSM haters.
I think this is the most on the bubble team.
Well,
of all the teams.
There's teams that are outside the bubble even more, you're saying.
On the bubble.
Right. So they're in the bubble, out of the bubble, and then they're on it.
Yeah, Twitch chat's right.
They're exactly on it.
Twitch chat is really good at this.
Twitch chat's amazing.
Yeah,
All
they
right.
crushed it.
Next-
So Twitch chat
Good.
says they're 20%
100
more
Thieves.
likely to make playoffs than COG, which,
All right.
Which is weird. Wait, no, they're both
Based
at
on the
7 and 7.
schedule.
Yeah.
Yes. Based off schedule makes sense.
yeah.
All right, I wanted to take 100 Thieves because I did talk about Closer's jungle pathing and kind of jungle to lane communication on 100 Thieves. In the first 5 minutes of yesterday's game, he does a full clear, gets 2 kills in the same time that River is only able to do a full clear and get Bjergsen's flash.
What a godlike opening.
This was a phenomenal like redemption from Closer because I think he's been a bit unfairly targeted as like the reason behind a lot of their losses, in my opinion, when it is a whole team communication thing. The other really interesting thing hearing from him yesterday was how he talked about he thought they were going to do really well last week, right? Because apparently they had like really good scrim results and things were looking good. And then that unfortunately didn't go their way. So
I will say if I'm River and the opponent jungler full clears, kills my mid lane, kills Scuttlecrab, and then kills top lane, I am fuming. I am so upset with
Question
my
mark
laners.
pings all over the map.
Yeah.
I will say also looking at the strength of schedule, they have one of the easier looking ones remaining.
yeah.
Okay.
You have 2 teams who are not really in the playoff hunt in Immortals and Dig, right? So you
Yeah, I
can,
think
yeah,
those
exactly.
are wins. So it's I would say at least 2 and 2. This is I like the use of the thinking face.
You never know.
I think they will beat TSM and lose to EG. I think it's going to be 3 and 1.
Because that's going to be a week 8 EG game. So
Yeah.
They should be
we'd
back to full
imagine
strength.
they've recovered and they'll
Here,
have
actually,
Jojo
we haven't
back.
used this one yet.
I thought the skull emoji was going to go for your FlyQuest one for sure.
But they beat them last time, so I couldn't do it.
True. But yeah, so for this, like a 3-1 record would put them at 9 and 9.
9 and 9. Yeah, we're gonna. I feel like we're cursing ourselves with a lot of potential tiebreakers.
I also feel like this could be a 2 and 2 and a Sag missed of the playoffs at 8 and 10.
Yeah. That would be like the worst. I'm actually really super curious to see what 100 Thieves have in Twitch chat, just because they are so
true.
popular.
We put TSM at 9 probably.
Yeah.
We actually had COG at 8 probably.
8 and 10, yeah.
And if we have them at 9 or 8, 8 can still get you a tiebreaker.
Woo!
All right. so
Barely
good,
edging
yeah.
out TSM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Twitch chat thinks 100 Thieves is good. All right, last team on the bubble.
This
They're
is
we
the
got-
most
oh,
copium team.
you're-
Yeah, this is the most
favorite,
copium
Jet.
team. Team Liquid, everybody. My preseason number 3.
They still have a 0.2% chance to get there, according to that graphic.
You never know. Yesterday, actually, we just saw Closer's Lee Sin. Pyosik's Lee Sin did something similar, maybe even simpler. Instead of full clear into mid, into top, Pyosik did like a couple camps and then just stayed bottomless,
Perma-camp
apparently.
Set a tent up, yeah.
Yeah, and it was fine. That's all you have to do. It was totally fine. He went like 7-0. So, upcoming opponents.
Hey.
If you're
Yikes.
full hopium,
Hey.
Uh,
All right, give us your full hopium, and I'll tell you what's going to happen.
okay, like if you're full hopium, they already beat FlyQuest, and you're like, well, yeah, they're just really good.
Oh my God.
You're going on a 5-0.
And suddenly they're in. That's
Wow.
not going to
They're
happen.
still only 10 and 8 if they
Yeah.
win.
That's in.
True.
That would be in. But
see that happening.
so today, actually, it's the Zven Yeon rematch.
The salt
so
fight.
True.
you never know what's going to happen. Zven tweeted earlier that it's a rematch and the pick was unrelated, but this one is full of. What's
You
interesting
can get
about this
popcorn on there
actually.
too.
Yeah.
What,
Throw some popcorn
yes.
in there.
Really salty popcorn. What's interesting about this is Yeon said to C9 that their academy team was better, and I think it made them stronger because Emenes is in now. So
Yeah, they
he was
grabbed the
like-
best
Yeah.
part of the
It's
academy
partial-
team. They're
it's
like, you're not
partial-
wrong.
Okay, anyway, then they also have the rematch against Dignitas for Jensen rematch. He spent 3 years on Team Liquid. Now he's on Dignitas, but I think that's a thumbs up. I think the COG is a thumbs up, and I think this one is a question mark.
8 and 10 though.
Yeah, so that, I think,
Spells doom for the team.
spells a little doom, but it's going to be fun along the way, and the season has been a little messy.
Wow, that is still more optimistic than
yeah.
CLG, right? CLG was the biggest doomer, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, this is 1.5 wins, but yeah, Twitch chat hates CLG, or they know.
Oh, They're CLG fans and they know how it
And they're
works.
saying
Yes.
no.
Oh, yeah.
They're saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been through all that.
I think we have the producers
Yeah.
we're working on giving us the updated standings here.
So now you just have to
Oh,
predict
here we go.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say who do we think's getting in, and the producers can hit my ear as well for what Twitch chat was saying.
Yeah. Well, I know Twitch chat's Golden Guardians
Yeah.
in. You can fill this out now, Mark. Golden
I'll
Guardians
fill-
in.
I'll f-
Okay, you can do your own too.
yeah, I'm doing this one.
Yeah. Way to take up Emily's square.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, actually. So that's Twitch chat.
Yep. So then
Okay.
they're dooming these.
Yeah.
That's not a bad take.
Actually, I think I'm with Twitch chat
Yeah. Emily's with Twitch chat.
based on strength of schedule.
Wait, what the?
Wait, what? What?
Oh, no.
Does the erase
That's
tool-
the opposite.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
Look at that.
Ooh.
I got
That's the
mechanics.
telestrator mechanics.
Yeah, there you go.
So you were aligned. Jat, what about you?
I want the suspense. I want to do it myself.
You want to get up here?
Yeah, I have my own
All right,
emojis.
you have your emojis that you want.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Round us out. Bring us home.
We got it. So, Golden Guardians, really strong. TSM, good job, guys. I'd say CLG has got it.
Wow.
And it's just
So
Doom.
you agree with
Is,
me?
is this the reverse?
It's just Doom. That's Mark II. Yeah.
Okay.
We're 100 Thieves haters
Yeah.
together.
wow.
This is clear.
This is a very readable
I
graphic.
know. This is great. Just
This is clear.
put that on socials. Let's get to today's schedule. It's not confusing at all. Where we have got TLC9 coming up first. IMT FlyQuest for IMT's playoff hopes, and also for FlyQuest to stop this kind of skid that they've been on over their past 2 games. Evil Geniuses versus CLG. Just a reminder that EG will be playing from their facility today, and hope that they get better soon. Dignitas versus 100 Thieves, and Golden Guardians versus TSM. That is the matchup I am watching for the most.
Yeah, Golden Guardians has actually blessed our Game 5s this year.
I won't get into the.
You won't get into the details?
I won't get into the details, but yeah, they've made Game 5s very interesting,
I'm just saying they have a lot of Game 5s,
and they're an interesting team.
and Game 5s are often interesting this year.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know what else is interesting? LCS beef. Obviously, it's honestly, the way producers described this to us, they were like, it's a handshake, not the handshake. So pick unrelated sound a lot less interesting to me than it actually is. Also, the look on Zven's face, like he is going to murder Yeon. Is
Yeah.
He's got
just
a good,
amazing.
good angry face.
Yeah.
They had
it's
the whole,
great.
they had a bunch of beef last game. For those of you who are out of the loop, there was some trash talk exchanged. I really want to know what he said afterwards. Spica instigated
I love
afterwards.
Spica.
So this is
Spica,
literally
the
like,
instigator.
they then apologized to each other on Twitter right after. But that tweet from Zven was right now.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to reignite it really quickly. before getting-
I love
Plays
it.
better angry, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Team Liquid, they pulled off that upset versus FlyQuest yesterday, and
Yeah.
one of the things that interests me is how not bad they look to their actual record prior to that game. And I think there's a lot of stats that kind of back up the fact that they are a much better team in terms of how they play the game, just can't end it well. So if you look at major lead, which is the amount of time you've spent in the game where you have more than 51.5%,
Right.
who cares about the actual numbers? The point is, it's a way to track basically how much you're winning and how much you're losing over the course of an entire game. And Team Liquid's actually 4th in major lead. They would also be 3rd in major deficit if you sorted it by that. So they are a team that is statistically, in terms of game states, a top 4 team in the league. They then just often find ways to punt and lose the game. They also have some of the highest kills per minute, combined kills per minute. They play very bloody, very fast-paced games. This is all stuff that speaks to a good team. They've just struggled at closing, and in a lot of ways, they are the closest of some of these other teams to becoming a good team. If they just more consistently can close out games, they can suddenly rip off a lot of these wins that we're saying that they are struggling to find right now.
And I remember in the initial beginning of the season, we were still talking about them with a little bit more of rose-colored glasses, I guess, from their scrims, from how good they looked in the early game. We were like, okay, as long as they put this part together, they will be kind of that top team that was promised. And I also did always appreciate that, like you mentioned how bloody they are. Like I did always appreciate that they were going in. They just weren't always organized about it.
Yes, and I think there's a key to this.
Okay.
And it's pretty simplistic, which is a little ironic considering CoreJJ won Worlds in an Enchanter meta. But when CoreJJ is the guy who has the ability to engage, Annie, Blitzcrank, Rakan, Thresh, they are 4-1. When he's on an Enchanter or a Marksman, they are 2-7. And I think there's multiple parts to this. I think Core is absolutely elite on engaged champions, partially because of the way he communicates about how he's going to engage and literally how loud he gets when he's gonna go in. He brings everyone together. But I also think it's even more important for Team Liquid because nobody else on the team can do it.
And when you flash Annie, your team's like, oh, I guess we go now.
Yeah, and I just don't think someone's good at playing frontline. I don't think Pyosik has had good team fighting, so it has to be Core. And I hope if they want to make playoffs, he has the ability to engage in every single game.
I actually agree, and I have kind of a half joke, half serious thing, but it's basically CoreJJ is TL's. Have I told you my Mako theory for EDG?
What is it?
No.
So it's basically like there were people who were saying like, oh man, Mako can't play enchanters, and that's not it at all. He's actually insane on enchanters, as is Core is actually really good on enchanters, right? Like you said, he won Worlds in enchanter meta. That's kind of how he came up when lane swaps were eradicated and he was in a super strong 2v2 over in Korea. And Mako is another player who his team relies so much on him to initiate. And I was actually talking, so I told this weird theory to Haeri, and he was like, actually, I kind of agree. Like, just because, to your point, like, Core is so decisive, and when he's on an engager, not only will he be really loud in comms, presumably, but also it's always easier to just follow the person who's going in, right? Like, if they are super decisive. And TL does need someone like that because in a lot of the fights that we've seen them lose, it's like, oh, some Pyosik's going in, but no one's around him, and then Summit's coming across with a Sion ult, like too late, you know? And it's just, I know you did that team fight breakdown before. That was really rough. On the other side, we joked about pulling from the academy team, but Emenes has been phenomenal.
He's looked really good, and the Tryndamere yesterday, he did get 2 crits. That's not that crazy with Tryndamere passive, but he really ran over this game. He had this amazing, like, E stopwatch towards the end of the game as well, which apparently the E keeps traveling and does damage. But aside from the first game he had on stage, which was rough against Golden Guardians, Emenes has looked dominant.
He played so well yesterday, they forced EG to sub out JoJo.
Yeah.
They put both
totally what happened.
JoJo.
Oh
You just got stomped so hard. Ryoma, Tommy's coming in. But the entire team of C9 has been running over games in recent weeks. It feels like they have kind of taken the mantle of best team. I know a lot of people still think FlyQuest is insane, but like in recent weeks, C9 is actually the best team in the league, I think. Look at us predicting the upsets.
I was expecting me to be the only person who predicted TSM. Jat is predicting Dignitas over 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
You're trolling.
I mean, am I?
Yes.
We'll see.
I don't like being
They're on a
associated with
one-game win
We
streak.
both predicted CLG, and you're also trolling. So like, I just like
So
I
I'm
don't
not-
like being associated.
Yesterday, I went 2-5, and I thought there was no game I could possibly flip. And today, I looked at the games, and I said I could possibly flip on this one. Jensen, Bjergsen rivalry, 31-31 against each other. Jensen, something to play for.
So this is a narrative flip.
A little, I mean, Jensen's gonna be motivated. You never know. Could happen.
All right, that's enough from us. Time to start the show.
Get away.
Welcome back to the LCS. It's Friday afternoon, and it's time to wrap up week number 7 here at 2023's Spring Split. I'm CaptainFlowers, that's Azael. We're going to bring you the first 3 games of the day. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm actually really excited for this game. TL, I think, showcasing a really strong game yesterday. Emenes has just been so fun to watch on the other side as well.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're straight into champion select.
Let's go!
No delays to kick us off here. Knock on wood.
Okay, yeah, I definitely went home yesterday after the delays and
Get the bad juju out.
I just had to vibe a little bit. I watched the last 2 games of the day from my bed. I'm just
That's
like,
the way to do it, man.
yeah, I'm
comfort.
just relaxing. But let's see how these teams are going to go about this one. This match, remember earlier in the split, everybody loves to meme on it. It was the Zven versus Yeon, like the trash talk moment. I want more of that. Like I want to bring the WWE to the LCS. I want like dudes delivering
It's Zven from the top rope.
Yeah, I want the
Look out,
top rope. I want the body slam. I want somebody to get suplexed after in game. But for now, we just got to get through the draft. So let's see some jungle focus from C9, keeping the Sejuani and the Vi out of the game. Aphelios also banned out. This dude is so popular now after the changes to the way that the Bloodthirster and the Overheal has taken over the meta, as well as Thresh getting buffs being his best friend. He's in pretty much every game that he's not banned. Gragas and Caitlyn banned away by TL.
Yeah, it's nice because this week finally feels like it's not just Zeri Lulu versus Lucian Nami every game, right? This is the first time it feels like we are, really moving more away from that as the true S tier. Because even in the previous weeks, after some of those nerfs, we had just been seeing so much of Zeri being, first picked or very, very commonly early picked on blue side. Annie is up and available, is something that has been getting a lot of bans. So it could be something that C9 wants to go towards. Emenes has been largely playing really aggressive stuff. This could be mid, this could be support, so it doesn't necessarily have to go towards him. But since Emenes has joined Cloud9, he's actually 4-1 with the team. His only loss being that first game on the Victor, which is very different kind of champion than the other ones that he's been playing. He's played Yeon, he's played Trinimir, he's played 2 LeBlanc games, right? So I think the Annie, if it is going mid, would be more in those pool of aggressive champions than it would be something like the Victor that wants to sit back, scale up.
The only concern that I would have is that when you look at Yeon, when you look at Trinimir, when you look at LeBlanc, they're all very mobile. They allow aggressive positioning that you can then retreat from if you do get in a little bit of trouble. So that's the one thing that I would keep my eye on, is how well can he pilot those sorts of situations if it's the Annie. But of course, we will have to see what the rest of the draft looks like. On the other side, Pyosik has been given the Lee Sin. This worked out well before.
He was smurfing yesterday on this pick. It was by far his best game of the split, I thought. Was going around, getting kills everywhere, really put them in a good spot. And you kind of already know with Rakan getting locked in, it's going to be Xayah for Yeon, right? So it's going to be Xayah Rakan, almost guaranteed in the bot lane. Would be very surprised if it's not, especially with the Annie already being locked in. You want something that can kind of absorb that engage, has some individual agency to avoid and not get one shot there. Especially when Blaber is also going to be having this Viego. That's a lot of aggression that's going to be coming in these first couple picks from Cloud9.
And I do love the fact that Rakan is a huge team fight engage. CoreJJ piloting that. The Death just got done talking about how having CoreJJ on an engage, it's the good look for Team Liquid. It's the look that lets them be able to succeed in these mid and late games where they've been stumbling before.
And I think it's actually really important specifically against the Zeri as well, because C9 banned out Vi, which is usually that early answer, to the Zeri, to be able to have something for point and click lockdown. Rakan is not point and click, but let's be honest, it's about as close to that as you can get. R flash W is pretty easy to get onto a champion, if you're willing to actually commit those cooldowns. So it is going to give them some ability to lock that down. TL has a couple options here. I think largely they're going to expect that this is an Annie mid just based off their first Lulu ban. So they could try to ban out, a couple more of those pairings if they want. But they can start to throw out some protection bans for solo lanes as well. They do have a couple different choices.
I mean, just having the Zeri at all, it feels like she's a champion that just needs an enchanter. She wants something to allow her to be that star of the show. So I like the read that, hey, ban out the Lulu. Let's just make sure that, hey, there's no risk of this.
Absolutely, but it is interesting because TL is clearly not certain which role that Annie is going to be played in, right? They ban one support, they ban one mid, so they're saying, well, this could be going to Emenes, it could be going to Zven, so they're kind of covering their bases, and they're just banning, instead of targeting one role specifically, they're basically just banning the strongest pairings or the strongest, champions for those players. As Emenes is really well known for his LeBlanc, has been so damn good on it in the NACL and in the LCS.
And if you're talking about banning champions specific to players, Summit's Gnar and Haeri's Ahri. These are incredibly favored champions for those two respective players, and those are the bans that C9 will levy in the second half of the draft. Team Liquid locks in the Akali.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about this one here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It is a dive buddy, right? You know, I do think you need something to kind of go in with that Rakan, and I think that is going to be the answer. You know, you have the Rakan going in, Lisa and Akali there to follow it up. It is going to be fifth pick here for Summit. With Jace still on the table, you don't want to pick anything that's weakened to Jace. That's one of those other real big specialties for Summit.
Yeah.
So Fudge is just going to go with something that is a brick wall. He's going towards the Sion here, something that isn't necessarily easy to really punish, because when you look over at the kind of champions that Summit wants to play, it doesn't really play the Fioras of the world, these types of champions that can kind of really punish a tank in that way.
Yeah.
Sydra also interesting here as an answer. So this is going to be support Annie, so it won't be an enchanter for Berserker. So something that you mentioned, you know, he's going to not have that additional kind of layer of power that we're used to seeing from Zeri in the later stages, when we had seen Zeri Yuumi in the past and Zeri Lulu more common more recently. This feels like it's more mid-gamey as a result, because you know you don't have that same level of protection. Berserker can't play as crazy without an enchanter in his back pocket, but it does give him a tremendous amount of burst here. The ability to really dive into those backlines. And it's going to be Cho'Gath as the answer for Summit, which is a really strong tank matchup. And you can use the silence to actually interrupt the Q, the slam coming through from Sion. You can kind of trade pretty favorably, I think, in a lot of these matchups. And you just hit a point where you are so annoying to deal with for so many of these champions. The silence, I think, is super, super underrated on Cho'Gath. A lot of people really focus on the fact that he has good wave clear, that his ultimate is a pretty high burst, they can get tanky. But to me, when I play against this, it's like a 3-second AoE silence, right?
Yeah.
If you flash in there as Annie and you get instantly silenced before you can get your full combo out, you can be completely useless. And the same thing can go for a number of these champions. And you get a flash silence on someone like a Syndra, what are you supposed to do?
And part of the conversation that I had about the mechanic of silence yesterday with Papa Smithy and Spawn when they were joining us is it's also a boomer mechanic. This is not something that is present on a lot of modern day champions. It's not present on a lot of meta champions. You pretty much just see it in Soraka's pool on the ground. You see it in Cho'Gath, a couple other really rare things that'll like not show up too often.
Yeah.
But it's not that common to deal with, and it can catch you off guard if you're not used to playing against.
Absolutely. It is really, really frustrating. You know, if you do flash in there, if you're trying to get really aggressive and all of a sudden you can't actually use your abilities, you can't actually, you know, react in that situation, can really make things very, very difficult. But this is going to be an exciting one here. TL versus Cloud9. Really important game here for TL. This is a big test for them this weekend, but they did take down FlyQuest yesterday, so they're going up against, you know, the two teams that are tied for first in the same weekend. And coming into this weekend, I was looking at it like, you got to get to 9 wins if you're TL, and I was thinking they were going to have an 0-2 weekend. I think that's how most people were looking at this coming in, that they were predicting that they were going to be going down to the two best teams in the league. They already got a win against FlyQuest, so they could theoretically lose to Cloud9, then 3-0 the Super Week and still get into playoffs. But if they win here, all of a sudden you're really thinking, damn, this team is actually someone that is going to be a lot stronger than what their seeding could indicate.
Exactly. That's why I say I'm glad they put Pyosik back on this early playmaker in the league. I'm glad that we have CoreJJ on a powerful, engaged team fighter, because I think that's going to give them the best chance to give us the best showing here today up against C9. Emenes also on the Syndra. We were talking a little bit about how the Victor game was by far his weakest game. He's looked much better since then. I think this will be sort of a good chance to say, okay, is it that he's just better on these more mobile, like playmaking, aggressive type of champions, or is he also equally as good on control mages and he just had a bad game?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think the other thing is, even regardless of the champion, it was his first game on the LCS stage. Almost everyone is going to be really nervous in that situation. And if I recall quickly, it was against Golden Guardians, and they even said in the post-game interview that part of their strategy was actually focusing him because they expected him to be nervous in his first game. So, you know, I do think you can get a little bit of a pass for that, and we'll have to reevaluate, you know, how he's going to perform on these types of champions, because as you say, you want to have a mid laner who's well-rounded. It's great that he has this clear strength, that he is really, really powerful in these aggressive champions, these playmakers. But you also, when it's appropriate, need to have a mid laner who can play the control mages, who can play these different styles and still be successful.
I mean, that's the difference between a good player and a great player, right? Good player can play something really well. Great player can play all sorts of things to the same degree, adapt to whatever the meta game is. And speaking of great players, Blaber, one of the greats from North America in the jungle, he's always his most fun to watch on aggressive picks too, I think. So having something like the Viego back in here, letting him be able to pop off as he goes for an invade on Pyosik's Lee, who's still sitting at around half health. His mid laner is also stuck underneath turret right now. Over the wall goes Blaber.
Both have smite.
They're going to fight for the wolf. Nice. Pyosik's going to secure the big one there. Secures the smaller one too with the Sonic Wave. Safeguards out to the ward, but now he's half HP. The enemy jungler's stealing his blue.
Yeah, and Pyosik has no smite, so now he actually can't challenge on this. Blaber lost that smite, but he can continue the push here. And it's all off of that ward that they actually had on Raptors. It has expired now, but they saw Pyosik there. They do a 3-camp clear. It is both of TL's bot laners moving up, but with smite available, Blaber has pulled it to an appropriate place. There's nothing they can really do about it. And that roam, it's not going to cost them too much, but my guess is that you can expect Yeon at least miss, 1 or 2 minions on that. So a little bit of pressure. It's just really nice. It doesn't cost them much, and it is exerting some pressure on the map. Blaber moving back in, trying to see if the Gromp was still available. It was not, but now he can start immediately on this bot side scuttle. And if you can get pushed from Emenes, you could potentially actually double scuttle here. So we'll see if he wants to go for that, because clearly he wants to be challenging Pyosik. He's pinging towards top side. So now it's Emenes' job, just hard shove. And he is going to be able to have that push. So really, this becomes pretty dangerous here for Pyosik. He doesn't have his smite available, so he can't just straight up one-shot the scuttle, and now he's going to be in some trouble.
They're just coming around, jumping towards Emenes instead. Back underneath the turret, but a lot of damage onto Pyosik. A flash forced out as C9 playing this just as aggressively as you're describing.
Yeah, I just love it, right? It's one of those things that really impresses me about, Blaber at his best, is that people talk about Blaber as a hands player, and I think sometimes that discredits all of the skill he has in his pregame planning and his pathing, and the way that he actually plans out these early levels is just so intelligent, right? He knows he's going to be in this matchup where he feels he's going to be healthier on the clear. He can actually meet and attack his opponent. He knows that he can play well around these pushing lanes, and he's curating his path to really get the most out of that, right? To be able to go towards bot side, utilize the pushing lane there, invade, steal away the blue buff, and then go for the double scuttle because he has that push mid lane. Even getting the flash out of Pyosik is just so nice when you compare to how good of a start Pyosik had last game. He's now put pretty far back, right? He's going to be down in gold. He's going to be down a summoner, so it's much more difficult for him to really exert as well on the map. When you're down that flash, you become a lot more nervous about a potential counter game, right? You show up, you look for that play. If Viego's there, you're probably toast.
Emenes is so far having a really good time here in mid lane as well with the Sydra versus the Akali, just completely keeping him shoved back underneath the turret. But with CoreJJ roaming in, Emenes with a nice sidestep. Might still be forced to flash. Not even that.
Nope.
Really good job avoiding the pressure and absorbing that from TL.
That was really Jensen-esque. To me, that's one of the things that he has always done so well in his career is these little mini sidesteps and just such calm play. Most players, I think, in that situation just insta-flash when they see that CoreJJ is point-blank Wing them. Going to be looking for that knockup, but instead, he knows Akali's not really in a position to follow up. Lee Sin's pretty far away. I'm not going to get one shot here. I can look for that sidestep. If I get hit by it anyway, maybe he has to flash after that. But in this case, he ends up not having to use his flash. He's up basically 2 full waves, and he's just in a great spot already.
So C9 has advantage by 2 separate levels here in this jungler and support showdown. Both mid laners looking at the possibility of roaming over. They are both level 6. Emenes, however, does have a rather limited mana pool. He can fire off his ult, he can fire off a couple of spells, but he's not going to be useful for an extended fight. Berserker rotates over first. C9 still just looking to force down this Drake. They want to keep Pyosik away. They don't want to risk some kind of a coin flip. They've secured the Drake, but can anything go back the other way for Team Liquid? CoreJJ goes in, uses his flash to trade away from
Sion!
Sion joins up in the fight. That's Yeon going to be forced to flash away. Follow-up coming out from Fudge. They find the decimating smash. They find Yeon. They find first blood for Berserker.
What a roam from Fudge. In the initial look for an engage there from Core, it's a 2-for-1 on the flashes, so it's great for Core, but then all of a sudden, Sion's coming down. Sure, he's going to lose some farm on top side. Who cares, right? Yeah, your Sion is going to be losing about 10-15 CS off of this roam. There's one plate as well going to Cho'Gath, but your Zeri got first blood. You got multiple summoners. You got the summoner from the mid laner. You got flash off him with that roam, and you got flash and cleanse off of Yeon plus a kill. So this is such a high value play here. It's been a bit of a unique fight because Emenes was 6, so normally that's the point of power for Sydra, but he had never even base, so he's just on a Doran's ring. He didn't really have kill threat. But this roam from Sion was just so good, forcing the flash from Haeri, forcing the flash from Yeon. He's right up on top of him, so he has that knockdown. They even get the cleanse. They get that first blood exactly where they would want it to go, over on a Berserker. And Cloud9 are laughing. This is the perfect start to this early game.
And yesterday when we had Spawn on, he was talking about when you play against Team Liquid, most teams expect to be down a bit in the early game because of the fact that that's where TL shines. Cloud9 is also a team that excels in early game. They excel in skirmishing. They're really good at getting in your face and putting the pressure on, and that's what they're doing. Here in the first 8 minutes of this one, they got the first Drake. They're 1 kill up, 1,000 gold ahead, and you can see the pings already coming out. On my way, on my way, on my way, right as that little marker on the map changes from gray to yellow, showing that the Herald is about to spawn. They immediately have their next plan ready.
Yes, sir. And they know that someone actually moved down, so they know that this is going to be warded up. So Blaber just sweeps that out. Pyosik is in the area, is level 6, and just about has his flash left. There's about a sliver of cooldown left on that, but Blaber's happy to take this fight. If he can actually find the W, he could look for it.
Well, Pyosik did mark Blaber there with the Sonic Wave. Figured, hey, he's probably watching here at the Control Wars and the Pixel Brush. But Blaber and C9 are not deterred. They're going to go straight for the Herald now.
Yep, and Annie is here way faster. So the early roam here from Zven, you can see now it is Core coming up to actually try to match this, but I think it's likely too little too late at this point. He's only getting to mid lane now, and Pyosik's going to have to flash out.
Yeah, Pyosik just losing a summoner spell for free there. Summit's coming down trying to help, but the Cho'Gath didn't even have a feast to try to do anything crazy if they wanted to steal or contest. So Team Liquid, unfortunately, they bring up the manpower to think they can contest, but it's just the timing's not there, the coordination isn't there, and it falls apart. C9 essentially just takes it for free and gets that flash off of Pyosik.
Absolutely. It's just one of those things where it felt like they're in that spot where they realize that they have been kind of beaten to the punch, but they want to try to force it anyway. Ghost's going to be popped here. He's trying to actually look for the root, but you know, he's going to be able to just kite it back. Doesn't have to use flash. Is okay with using that preemptive Ghost to just try to play it safe. But yeah, I mean, there was a much better setup from C9. Support roam was much earlier. They had push on mid lane. You know, they have Prio in the river. They have Vision in the river. So it was very likely to be theirs. But TL wanted to try to see if they could make something happen anyway. And unfortunately for them, they're not able to do it. So they lose a little bit out on that roam. Don't end up getting the Herald. Cloud9 just extends their lead here. And now a minute and a half here until this Dragon. He's going to be able to just drop Herald mid prior to that Dragon fight and get themselves a really good setup on this second Drake.
Alrighty, Team Liquid still looking to see something out of these guys. Some sort of a play, some sort of a move. Down about 1,500 gold versus C9. You can see the remaining opponents, for Super Week next week. Remember, we start on Wednesday, not Thursday for week number 8. On your screen, Cloud9, the standout opponent among those 4 games remaining to play, including this one. C9's opponents still includes FlyQuest that fell against this Team Liquid team yesterday, but then Immortals and CLG, those are not opponents that are also at the top of the table. So for C9, a good showing here, and then you got to just deal with FlyQuest. They're sitting in a much more comfortable position, though. I mean, they've already got 11 wins. C9's looking at this like, right, just where am I going to end up in playoffs? Team Liquid, they don't even know if they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, FlyQuest is looking a lot less strong in the couple of weeks than we've been watching previous. You know, at the start of the split, they were on a, 8-0, 9-0 type start. Yeah. They've lost back-to-back games now. They lost to both EG and TL. They also had that earlier loss to TSM. So FlyQuest is starting to drop some games. They're not looking like they're unbeatable anymore. And it is Cloud9 that I think in current form is looking like the strongest team in the league. So they have a real shot here at stealing that first seed away that it felt a couple weeks ago like FlyQuest had pretty much all wrapped up.
Yeah, FlyQuest is still a raid boss. They're just last expansion's content. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, teams have been figuring them out a little bit recently. So we'll see if Cloud9 can keep up their momentum and steal away that coveted #1 spot. As Blaber is going to head back over towards the Drake. He'll start that up. Team Liquid's jungler is here in the bottom lane to be able to help protect them against any sort of aggression from C9. The Herald gets the charge, but the charge does not fully remove the entirety of that third plate. It's still standing with just a sliver. So they don't quite have enough damage to force it down. Blaber's going to get himself off the Drake. He knows that they're only tied in manpower right now, so they can't just force this down. They do have their mid laner rotating over first with Emenes coming down through the river, but they have to maintain enough control in this 3v3 standoff to make it so Emenes can find an entry point. Otherwise, Haeri's going to find Emenes alone, and you don't want Akali being able to jump on Sydra in that isolated 1v1.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that Sion TP top, and Summit has his TP, so now this should actually be a TL Dragon. They actually delayed this long enough that Cho'Gath could TP down if they need that 5th man here and help to secure it even with the feast. Mythic is done for Emenes, but he is on a Crown of the Shattered Queen. He went for that defensive Mythic here against this hard engage. Nice scatter!
Oh, look at that. CoreJJ has to disengage now after looking for the engage there. Haeri's chasing Blaber into the back, wants to find the damage onto the Viego, but not quite going to get it just yet. Summit's teleported in, and Fudge has found his way here with the ultimate. Haeri's taken low, and Berserker takes him out. Now you got Summit on the front line, but he doesn't have any firepower behind him. Core already used the cooldowns looking for the engage, and now Summit's got to walk away. Yeon and CoreJJ separated. Pyosik looking for the kill on Emenes. He's going to find it, but he won't get anything else. Team Liquid, 3v4, Cloud9 with a victory here in the skirmish.
Yeah, big outplays there. The scatter timing from Emenes was so huge on that initial engage. Really forced TL to spend a lot more to try to get to that backline. They do eventually kill Emenes off, but it was so many resources committed to actually getting it. And Fudge, again, has a great ulti drift down here towards bot lane. He hit TP top, Summit TP's mid to try to join his team, but Sion was able to answer because of that ultimate. And Summit is getting pretty far ahead in that individual 1v1 because of those roams. He's getting a lot of plates mid here as well, so that is going to be a very, very beefy tank here in the front line for TL. But again, the scatter was just so good, actually interrupting that engage there from Core. And sure, he has the charm to actually follow it up, but then Emenes kiting off to the side, really good positioning from him here. And Blaber kiting out away from Haeri for so long that Haeri ends up in this really awkward spot when the rest of the team comes back to peel, that he's really forced out. Berserker flashing over the wall, getting in there, trying to get really, really aggressive. And then the Ghost actually comes off cooldown right here, and he immediately pops it and starts going in for Yeon. So that's that Ghost coming off from that earlier defensive one that we actually saw used from him. I like that he doesn't overcommit. You know, if you chase up into Yeon, you're going to get hit by that Feather Color, you're going to get rooted up, and you're probably going to get burst down by that Cho'Gath and the other members that were there. So not overcommitting. They win out on the fight just slightly. They get the dragon to their name. And Cloud9 still cruising here, looking like they're in a really good spot. There is gold leads in some areas for TL, you know, namely in that top lane, but you would way rather have a rich Zeri than a rich Cho'Gath.
Yeah, I don't care if my Cho'Gath is 500 gold up on the enemy Sion. They're both going to stack past 5,000 HP by the time the game is done. Speaking of which, Fudge going for that Heart Steal,
yeah.
excuse me. Heart Steal Sion yet again. Like making sure that he's just saying, all right, if we're just in this tank matchup, we're just going to be scaling up. I'm going to scale hard.
Exactly, right? And when you are playing tank versus tank in these matchups, I actually really, really like this item because you're going to be able to just slapping each other wet noodle fight all the time anyway, so you may as well just get those bonus stats. Yeah. It's less about winning the 1v1 and more just becoming unassailable later on. Pyosik trying to enter, and TL are collapsing from multiple sides, but the Herald, again, already gone. And I just like how Fudge and Zven are playing to the side, zoning off Pyosik and CoreJJ and Yeon. So even if TL tried to commit from the top, C9 could engage down towards that three-man squad and essentially create a 5v3.
So Cloud9 has 2 Drakes, 2,000 gold lead, and we've just seen now twice Team Liquid try to contest them for a neutral objective and not be able to do it the exact same way. Both Heralds went the same way. So my question to you is, what should Team Liquid be doing? What is the recipe to stop this bleeding from continuing any further and get themselves in a good spot to fight these guys on square footing?
I mean, I think that they have some really good options here. They have some playmaking. You know, when you look at Rakan, when you look at the Akali, the Lee Sin, there are ways for them to get back into it. But I just think their problem has been every single time it feels like C9 is first to start the objective, C9 has vision on them. And when you're spotting these engagers, they're just going to mark them, right? Annie is sitting there, Sion is sitting there, they're blocking out the engage coming through from TL. So it's so important that they are actually first to these plays, that Core is playing in Fog, that Pyosik is playing in Fog, that they can find angles to get onto Berserker, to get onto Emenes and really threaten them. Because if they can start those fights with a really powerful engage, I definitely believe that they can win out. But if they are slow to these objectives as they have been, C9 is just going to mark your engage and they're going to be really, really advantaged as a result.
Blaber stepping up very audaciously there to contest CoreJJ. Just no fear in his eyes. He knows even if they jump on him, he's got a way back out. As Summit just, again, trying to fight over some vision here in the Cloud9 red side jungle. Going to clear out that control ward. Blaber's just farming his camps, moving back up to the other end of the jungle as Berserker's been left on wave clear duty here at the mid lane tier 1 turret. Unfortunately for C9, not a lot of HP left on that one, just because of what we saw earlier after one of the fights where Summit was able to rotate over, use his Demolish procs, wear that down. So it does mean Team Liquid can force down the first turret of the game. It brings the gold lead for C9 back down to about 1,500 from that 2K mark. but still, Team Liquid is looking for that angle that you're talking about. They need a fight to happen on their terms.
Absolutely. And they did try to go in and get some vision in Cloud9's jungle. Blaber has Herald top, so he could actually look to just drop this, but if no action breaks out, I will get into this. But I think it's just looking for a little bit of poking and prodding, and they see Pyosik around here, so they're likely to just back it up. But again, yeah, they moved in towards Cloud9's bot side jungle, and they tried to get some wards down. All of them got swept except for this one. I think Cloud9 has been doing a really commendable job of actually moving in and retaking vision. Anytime they know that TL has entered one side of the map, they move in with multiple members, they drop their sweepers, they place down pinks, and they try to put themselves in a position where they know that they can't actually be flanked. They can't have those TP angles coming through, because that is going to be so important for TL.
Down in bottom lane, the farming continues between the meatballs as Fudge is practically out of mana, so needs to go back to base. Meanwhile, 10 seconds on the Drake spawning as Fudge, his back gets interrupted, and now he's going to be jumped on by enough players from Team Liquid to potentially even kill him. Gets kicked away from the wall he wanted to flash over, but then still is able to flash for the safety of his teammates further up the river. The Herald is summoned up in mid to destroy the tier 1, and now they're also using Emenes to allow it to keep pushing onto the tier 2. Cloud9 getting a lot of damage into that tier 2 turret in mid of Team Liquid, as TL still looks to grab some sort of a punish here. Emenes still has Crown of the Shattered Queen, so any initial burst is going to be drastically reduced, even if they do get on top of him. Fudge frontlining here, just trying to control anybody in his way. Scatter the Weak from Emenes comes out, nice connect onto Yeon. They immediately force out the ulti, but Blaber can't get away. He can't use the Heartbreaker in time, and it means that Team Liquid pops the Viego. But now the follow-up is there, and CoreJJ is immediately killed. Team Liquid has the run, and Berserker's got his gun. He's gonna take out everybody, making a double. Is he gonna get the triple? Not quite yet. Cloud9, they might have lost their jungler, but they paid him back in blood.
Yeah, that was huge. It was a good initial reaction there from TL, as Blaber W flashes in for the stun there onto Yeon, but he has the cleanse to react, and they CC up Blaber, they burst him down. Congratulations to Berserker as well. I believe that was 300 LCS kills.
Nicely
Didn't
done.
take him a long time to do it.
Not really.
When you're playing Zeri, that's about 4 games, if my math is correct. So it hasn't been here that long. But we can watch it one more time. They're trying to get really aggressive here on Yeon. They're able to land the initial stun, and then they want to go for the follow-up for the 100-0. The scatter lands, Blaber, flash W, but there is the cleanse, there is the CC, charm, W, feast, everything used on Blaber. So no ability for him to actually ult out to get to safety. But then this is where Zven sees them. They're stacking up. Look how grouped they are. They get tagged by the laser. They get slowed down. Flash in. Multi-man stun. They find the angle there to get really aggressive. They're all chunked so low. It's not even like Haeri and Yeon can turn and fight. Berserker is so far ahead of the pace. And the E from Annie there being used as like a pseudo enchanter spell to speed up the shielding. Thrown on to Berserker there, who had the ghost. And it's just straight in. And again, we're in this situation once more where TL is late to the objective. They don't have the setup. Cloud9 again dominating in that regard. Fudge is deep in the enemy jungle, making sure there's no way that they can actually move up. You can see Emenes, as well as Zven, as well as Fudge, are all kind of covering their bases. They just have a couple people on that dragon. They're making sure no one can sneak in for a steal. And we're now at soul point here. And it's going to be an Ocean Soul for a Sion, which is going to make this guy just straight invincible.
That is not a good feeling for Team Liquid. It's already 4K behind, 20 minutes into the game. The difficulty of this game is now insurmountable for Team Liquid. Like, they need an error from C9, and it needs to be a pretty blatant one.
Yeah, I think they need that perfect engage, right? You're hoping that they're stacked up. You're hoping that Cloud9 doesn't have this really good objective setup, because that has been what has made it look so impossible to play for TL, is the fact that C9 always have eyes on them, always are first to the objective. You know, and that's easier said than done. So TL really struggling now. They absolutely have to win the next fight, because when you're going up against Ocean Soul, your copium is always, well, if you burst them down, they don't get much value from it, right? And you're like, well, you just get a burst kill. But when then you look over and you realize there's a 4,000 HP Sion, you're never bursting this guy.
So
He's always getting value, right? Like,
well, that's the task, unfortunately, for Team Liquid, is to find a fight to stop these guys from getting that Ocean Soul. And it's Cloud9 who don't want to give them the breathing room to do it. They're in the enemy jungle, placing down some vision, sweeping out whatever TL is trying to place defensively, and just making it an arduous task for Team Liquid to go anywhere on Summoner's Rift. C9 are going to step up. Again, Fudge being the point man, as long as he leads the way, they're not worried about anything that he might have to face check, because even if they kill him, they have to commit way too much. Summit's now going to be locked down. C9 putting a lot of bullets there into the Cho'Gath as Blaber does get away this time. Still has the ulti to disengage with further. Summit lost 2/3 HP. He does not have a Warmogs or something that will allow him to rapidly regenerate. Blaber's going to stay and fight. Does end up getting hit there by CoreJJ. They pop Core's ulti thinking they might be able to get the follow-up CC for the kill, but Blaber gets away in time. And now without that main engage, that Rakan ultimate, Team Liquid's tools are much more limited.
Yeah, I respect the attempt though, because it's actually pretty close to the Q landing there from Summit. And then if the Q lands as well, maybe you can chain a silence in, maybe you can kill him with some sort of burst plus feast coming through. And if you get a kill there, hey, you're right beside Baron. Maybe you start it up, right? So it's playing to win rather than trying to play for those kind of less risky plays, because as you said, TL can't sit back and just play a normal game now, right?
Yeah.
They've got to take risks. They've got to be able to make something happen. Hope that Cloud9 makes some mistakes. Hope that they can find that kind of miracle engage, because otherwise you just straight up aren't going to win this from this position. It's also very difficult for them to even find, the burst kills on some of these members, because Sion is obviously unassailable. Blaber is going to be pretty slippy. But it's also a crown plus a stopwatch on Emenes, so
yeah,
you can't really burst that guy down. It's a shield bow on Zeri. Options are limited.
Pyosik using the elite. Zven flashing the Papega frog back at his opponent for that kick. As we do have Team Liquid losing their tier 2 here in the top lane. Can't get anybody over there in time to stop it. And Summit, further away from the rest of the team, is again going to be soaking a lot of damage. He survives for the time being, but C9 is throwing everything at him to make sure that he doesn't get away all the way. Summit still at about 100 HP, and Fudge gets the kill. Team Liquid now with a full disengage. Haeri's trying to cut the wave, make it so C9 can't push anything else. He'll assassinate the minions and find his exit stage right.
Yeah, not bad from Haeri. He was trying to look for some sort of a flank, some sort of an ability to engage, but there was just no way. And Summit, sure, he took a long time to kill him, but he was just getting CC'd up, and there was no way for the rest of the team to enter. So now just the ulti gets let rip there by Emenes onto CoreJJ. Just get that chunk. They're not going to elect to actually start up the Baron. They know that TL can't rush the Baron themselves, and they know there's not really any reason to flip it against a Lee Sin who's on red side and has easy access to the pit. Just play towards Soul, where it's very low risk for Cloud9.
Yep.
Base up, spend your gold, get in the best position possible here, and they're just going to look to be at maximum strength. Mage Eyes with no stacks for just up for Emenes, which I'm not sure that's maximum strength.
It's
but it's definitely maximum confidence.
Book with no pages. As long as you're far enough away from the guy, they can't tell if there's no pages in it, all right? It might just still look scary. It's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, if they can't read.
Yeah. Lee Sin can't see. How can he read? So he cannot read the book.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's going to have to read how to play this perfectly. We need to see one of the greatest Lee Sin flash kicks of all time or something for Team Liquid to find a team fight here.
Yeah.
Because like you're talking about, man, Emenes is so durable between stopwatch and crown. You can't kill Fudge. If you focus Blaber, it's probably not going to result in a win because it's the jungler and they have so many other threats.
You have one target.
Yeah.
Berserker only, and even he's going to be hard to kill it and actually fight through. And he just got his IE, by the way, so he's on his ultimate power spike. Summit has no flash. He could just be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, Summit's just taking a lot of damage. Blaber getting hit by a couple of spells here too. Down to about half HP. Defensive ulti back over the wall from the C9 jungler. Summit's down to, man, like 30%. Not a whole lot left in the tank, and Emenes just executes him with the Syndra ulti. Remember, that's part of the ult now.
Yeah, gonna be able to get that kill. Nicely done, and now C9 are onto this. They gotta get in there, but Pyosik's not even close. The Soul is just gonna be gone, but they're looking for the fight.
CoreJJ tried to go in, but he's reduced to almost no HP. He still has the quickness, but there's nothing to use it on. C9s, they secure the Ocean Soul. They get the kill on the enemy top laner. He's dead for another 20 seconds, and they march to Baron.
Yeah, this is the thing with Ocean Soul. When you grab that, there's no risk to starting up Baron infinitely. You just heal up over and over and over and over. You're never gonna run out of health, never gonna run out of mana. So you just keep starting this up, and you keep fishing for picks. And Pyosik there does show, so they know where he is. They actually connect the scatter.
Pyosik trying to do anything to maintain some sort of a possible angle to steal this away. They know they need some sort of a miracle steal. Haeri goes in and finds a kill on Zven. That's a good start, but they need to find more. Team Liquid's bringing the back up, and Summit has re-arrived. The Baron is at 3,000 HP, 2,000 HP. Pyosik goes into the pit. Team Liquid are thinking about maybe stealing it away, but now they got to be careful. The team's all split up. Berserker's going to be focused, but Yeon's going to be killed. It's Blaber taking the kill as Yeon dies. Summit dies. Core dies. Team Liquid dies, and C9 outplays him again. Haeri and Pyosik, the last two alive, on the run, and C9 goes back to where they started, back to the Baron.
Yeah, right back to the Baron. It was a good initial kill there from Haeri, but even with Cloud9 playing it pretty risky here around the Baron, Teal just doesn't have the damage to punish. If Summit had his flash from earlier, when Pyosik went in the pit, it was at 2K, but he just didn't have the time to actually get it down while his team was losing that team fight. So unfortunately, no one could actually flash in and join him. And Emenes now pushing Pyosik out of mid lane here. They're pushing up multiple waves at this point. They have the Baron. They're going to go back, buy it up, try to get to that maximum power spike. You can see Fudge even working his way towards a redemption. He knows his role in this game. It is just to frontline. It is just to enable his carries and keep him safe.
Emenes did his homework. That book's half full now. It was all just the proper strategy, saying, all right, we're going to get in a fight. There's a lot of opportunity here, a lot of value.
Why would I need pages now when I'm going to kill you very soon?
Get pages later.
Yep.
All right, Zven's over the wall. He's got his flash. He's got his ult. The Annie follow-up to any sort of a scatter that would land pretty much guarantees the kill. Team Liquid does not have the cleanse available for their Xayah. Even though Yeon has his ulti, if he just gets chain CC'd straight to death, there's no way he's going to get a chance to use it. Fudge, meanwhile, maintaining split pressure here in mid. The Sion up to about 5,000 HP now.
Dang.
Teleport from a long way away from
right
Haeri.
here.
This is the Hail Mary from Team Liquid. They're saying this is how we do it. This is pretty much our only chance. Summit's gonna walk over. The tier 3 turret is not gonna last long enough. CoreJJ tries to go in. He's just stunned up, has to run back. Fudge ready to finish him off, and he grabs the kill for the killing spree. Yeon is all the way in retreat, and Pyosik tries to cover his exit, but the weak are scattered, and Cloud9 are looking to end the game. Yeon and Pyosik run back to the tier 3 as Haeri goes into the back line only to die. Blaber takes the kill on him, and Emenes looks for another execution, this time on the top laner. C9 gets it done as soon as they get the Baron. Emenes zones away the remaining 2 players, and the Nexus turrets are next in line. Yeon tries to defend, but he's stuck back in the spawn platform. Team Liquid may have taken down FlyQuest, but C9's a whole different beast, and they're gonna take the win in 29 minutes.
What a weekend here from Cloud9, looking so damn good. This one was dominant start to finish here against Team Liquid. Never really gave him a chance to actually get into it.
No.
Just such clean objective control was the name of the game. I don't think that there was anything that ever really got taken away by TL. As far as, Dragons, as far as the Rift Heralds, as far as the Barons, every single one this game went to Cloud9.
And if you remember Team Liquid's win yesterday, it was Pyosik's Lee Sin, reading Spica's pathing, being able to find him, outplay him. In this game, it was Pyosik who was getting invaded early on. It was Blaber who used the priority of his mid laner to be able to say, all right, hey, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna mess with you, challenge you at your camps, double scuttle crab early. They didn't allow Pyosik to have that level of control because he was always having to just fight for his own life.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the pregame planning from Cloud9 was really in full effect here. Utilizing pushing lanes really, really well, playing around those points of power, utilizing that pushing lane and bot lane to actually be able to invade and harass him at the blue. He didn't steal away the wolves, but he did get the blue. He puts him in that difficult position, and then is able to use that to then go straight towards bot side scuttle, take that. Then he has a pushing lane mid. He's going to use that to get top side scuttle, force out the flash from Lee Sin. All of a sudden, you're down in XP. You're actually down in your resources in the game to really be able to actually set yourself up. And it's just such a hard spot, right? It's like, we talk so much about, oh, well, TL needs to be first to the objective to really be able to make anything happen, but they were never able to do it. Cloud9 always preempted them, always had better vision control, always tried to make them enter through this choke. And it's sure, you have these great forms of engage, but like, how the hell are you supposed to use them when Berserker is a full screen away and you have to walk through a Sion, through a Viego, through a Syndra, through an Annie to get there?
And I get that Cho'Gath is supposed to be the entry man, right? Like this is the front line, this is the guy who checks. But there was a segment on the lounge the other day where Jat was talking about if your tank is taking damage, it needs to be only when the carries are also dealing damage. And all these times we just see Summit getting the snot knocked out of him, and nobody's able to deal damage back, right? Like he's separated from the rest of Team Liquid. Meanwhile, Cloud9 just seemed more coordinated. It seemed like they had a plan for the whole team cohesively, and TL was just trying to struggle to put the pieces together.
I mean, it's like, even though the Cho'Gath was super tanky, every time he died, it took like 40 seconds, but it didn't matter.
Where's everybody else?
Because he can't actually get in to do anything.
All right, well, a reminder to all of you guys out there, come celebrate the start of Fairy Court with us at the LCS next Thursday. After the broadcast ends, we'll be hosting an after party with music, food, and more. So if you are here in normally what I would say is sunny Los Angeles, but it's raining today, hopefully not next Thursday, go ahead and stop by the party. I'm sure it's going to be a good time. But now, we're joining Mark and Zven on stage for the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you very much. I got Zven standing by with us after that win. Most important thing from the matchup we have to check up on, how was the handshake this time around?
It was strong and firm. So
yeah.
Yep.
Very respectable. What's your handshake meta? Is it like when you want to give you just a strong, like you try and crush their hand with the grip, or is it like dead fish? Or
these days there's like a protocol. We can't handshake. Well, we can, but the fist bump is the new meta.
Oh, okay.
But I felt like for the occasion,
you give him a solid one.
A solid one.
All right.
Nice one.
Yeah, I've been practicing. I didn't want to flub it here.
Firm.
So talking about you guys now, you're on a pretty big win streak. You're the first team to 12 wins. FlyQuest might catch you later today. How are you as a team feeling ever since Emenes joined? Do you feel like you are the new powerhouse in the LCS?
Yeah.
Just straight up, yeah?
I mean, yeah, and I'll tell you, like, I'm a Golden Guardians hater. I said that yesterday as well, and I think they're good, but they're like fake good, you know? They just can't be like contenders. It's just not possible. It doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, and EG's been a little up and down. FlyQuest has slipped a little bit. Is anyone even in like the C9 ballpark right now?
Yeah, I think EG is pretty good if Cho'Gath can recover.
Right.
He's having a bit of illness, right, with COVID. So I don't know how much that affected him because he's also been entering some other games without COVID.
You can't
so
tell.
you can't really excuse it, right? But yeah, I think EG is the team I'm the most afraid of. Like if I could choose one team I wouldn't play against in finals, it would be EG always. Even if like FlyQuest is ahead of them standings or whatever. So
cool. One thing that's coming up end of the season, MVP voting, these kinds of things.
Not me.
Not you, of course. A support player.
Should roll.
But who would you submit from your own team? And then who would you pick from not your team as like 2 MVP candidates that you think fans and analysts should have in their mind?
For our team, I mean,
you guys are so well balanced.
Blaber, I guess, yeah. Circle's in some games, like his Lucian was not pretty yesterday, so.
Okay.
It can't be. I mean, Fudge is playing tanks. Like you just can't give a tank player MVP, so it just has to be Blaber because I'm playing support. Should roll, right?
Okay.
And then for our teams, I'd say like Speaker has been doing pretty well on FlyQuest.
Okay.
I think he's part of all their plays. Prince was really good in the first half, and I think it was clear he was the MVP of that team. But I always thought Speaker was playing really well, and I'd say I guess just Speaker because he's the first place team, well, second place now. But
junglers again getting MVPs, man.
Yeah,
I thought it was in the jungle meta.
Yeah, buff jungle guys.
Yeah, they're all complaining about
that role
it.
is weak.
So your next opponent is actually FlyQuest coming up next week for Super Week.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you looking forward to playing them? How do you think it's going to go down the bot lane? Do you think they're going to keep win some Ayla? There's a lot of drama going on in the community.
I actually really like that Vulcan Ayla ego battle.
Yeah,
it's a good source of entertainment for me personally. I'm on Team Vulcan as well, I have to say. But for bot lane, there's a lot of handshakes in bot lane now, like Tsunami, Zeri, Lulu kind of matchups. I don't think we're playing one of those. I hope we're playing something like this, like any, Rakan versus something spicy.
New Yuumi.
Dude, if Yuumi was enabled on the playoff patch for LCS, C9 would have just crushed the playoff. But I think Freak hates me. Is that what it is?
Why. Yeah, he put it out for after playoffs,
exactly.
of course. All right.
Personal.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Coming up on the other side of this break, we have a promo for the Salt League, whose playoffs start this weekend. We'll see you there. NACL.
Nah.
Salt League.
Previously on NACL, the regular season has ended, and Cloud9 challengers narrowly took first from Dignitas. 16 teams enter the double elimination bracket. Who will be victorious?